Thank you guys for tuning into the channel today. Pretty excited to bring you this next video on this Redcat RDS two-wheel drive drift car kit build. And as you can see, I've got my Protoform Z28 Camaro body cut out. This is a 10.2 inch wheelbase body, and the Redcat RDS seems like it fits that 10.2 inch wheelbase just fine. The width, as far as the tires go, looks okay. Hopefully when I get my servo installed and all that, we can try it out, make sure nothing's rubbing, but we won't know till I get that installed. And speaking of servos, I got all my electronics in, and this is going to be my FlySky Noble MB4 Plus receiver. It's a 4-channel and should be able to program channel 3 with this GYD 470 Futaba gyro, and Roadside RC has a video on how you do that with this exact radio. Maybe I'll try to put a link in the description below. I got the high-tech, this is a DB777 servo. It should be plenty fast. It's aluminum case, brushless, low profile. I run this buggy in my 10th scale Techno EB 410.2, and the speed is nice, and it's held up really well in a race buggy. So I think for this drift car, it's probably a little bit overkill, but I just wanted to run something that I know and I trusted and have used before and know that's good quality. Right here we have the Hobby Wing programmer, and this is Bluetooth. You just download the Hobby Wing app and plug this right into your ESC, and you'll be able to program all of that stuff. And speaking of ESCs and motors, I have these right here. We'll probably do a top down here in a little bit. We'll talk about the kit build, and we'll probably look at this motor and ESC combo that I went with. So I'm excited to unbox those on the channel for you guys. Another thing I want to talk about is I got my police lights and my police siren, because this is going to be a police car themed drift car. I thought that would be pretty cool. Notice I got my black, white, and I ordered some gunmetal, maybe to mix it up a little bit. Paint scheme shouldn't be too crazy on it, but stay tuned to the end of the video. I want to try to show you guys how to program this siren and lights and get that running on channel 4 on your Noble Plus. Those of you that have this radio and maybe a crawler or something like that, you want to run some lights on channel 4, stay tuned to the end of the video. We'll show you how to do that. But let's take a look top down and talk about the build, what went good, what didn't go good, and that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. All right, here's a top down view, and as you can see, I've already got my liquid mask on my body right here. I just use a paintbrush, and this is about 4 coats worth, but should be easy to cut out on these lines for a police car body build. As you can see, the body fits pretty good over the wheels. I hope I don't have to do any special trimming or that kind of thing. And I've set up magnets already, as you can see. And one thing I recommend when building these kits and trying to get your body lined up, if you want to do magnets, even if you want to do posts, do that while your body is still clear or see-through. And I've already poked holes for the police lights that are going to be installed at the top there. So just something to think about. I spent a lot of time just thinking about and studying how to do the magnets. And talking about the magnets, these are just some Amazon magnets that I picked up online. I decided to go with this bumper that came with the Redcat RDS kit. It comes with this front bumper as well, but for right now I'm just using the foam one. If I opt to go to this one, I will probably have to do some trimming right in there, but I think the foam one will be sufficient. But I pretty much just trimmed the body post down to size, and you can pick up these cheap magnets on Amazon. I kind of wanted to do something better than these cheap Amazon magnets, but I just had these laying around, so if I got to change it up later, it's not a big deal at all. For the rear bumper here, I want to talk about that. I did have to trim this down, and right now it pretty much sits flush with the back side of my body there, and I think that will help even with using these smaller, cheaper magnets. If it gets bumped a little bit, it's not really going to move a whole lot in the back, just because how close that I trimmed this rear bumper piece. And I like this rear bumper piece. I wanted to keep it on there. It looks really nice on the back of the car. Like so. But anyway, let's talk about the build. Quality-wise, I like it. I really like the transmission here in this metal piece. Spur gear feels good. And I don't know, the carbon fiber seems really nice. This front bumper piece is nice. Kind of the only complaints that I had was, man, these little turnbuckles there were hard to install. And then one thing I wanted to talk about is I went ahead and did the mod and cut this piece off there so you can get more of your steering angle. I know it's kind of wonky right now because I don't have a servo, but that allows for maximum kind of steering on this Redcat RDS. And the shocks feel really nice. It did use the little E-clips to hold the kind of the shock pistons on, and it wasn't that hard to install. I wasn't looking forward to that. Most of the shocks that I built use the screws, and then you just screw the shock piston on, but the E-clips seem to work fine. One thing I wanted to talk about is, man, they give you a ton of shock fluid and diff fluid for just these little tiny shocks. So that's kind of nice. They definitely give you a lot more than they should have. Building the transmission felt really nice. This feels really nice. It's nice and smooth. No complaints there. One thing I thought was weird is this kind of servo horn here. There's no really bell crank or anything. And this is just a plastic servo horn. They do make an aluminum piece for the servo horn. It did come with that. And one of the things the kit was not clear on is if this was a 25 tooth spline servo horn. Now, if you order the aluminum servo horn, it definitely specifies that it's 25 tooth, but little complaint there in the manual. But overall, the manual was pretty clear. I was able to build this okay. I don't think I had anything that stumped me, but I have built several race kits before, so it wasn't that big a deal. But overall quality, fit and finish is really nice. And that's about it. I was able to use these pieces. They normally have body posts that come up from there, but I was able to just screw a bolt through there, and then I kind of put some double-sided tape there to give it an angle. So now that when I put my body on, there's a slight angle back here, and that should line up really well whenever I get the magnets installed on my body after I paint it. This body does come with the rear spoiler here. I'm not sure if I should put the spoiler on it as a police car or not. I might put it on there. You can always take it off. What do you guys think? Leave me some comments below. Give me some tips on what you guys would like to see. But overall, for what I paid for it, especially with it being on sale, I feel like value, really good value with all the carbon fiber, the smooth transmission, and the shocks feel pretty nice. The springs feel a little stiff to me, but I do not know a lot about RC drift cars. Still learning, so we'll just have to test it out and go from there. But let's look at some of these electronics that I got. What is going to go in this build? And kind of already went over some of these. I did want to look at the specs on this DB777 by Hi-Tech. And at 0.08 seconds, and this is at 6 volts, as you can see here. I will try to put this in the description below so you guys can look up the specs online. And the reason I wanted something that was pretty fast at 6 volts is my lights and my siren, I think, are only rated for 6 volts. So I wanted something that's pretty fast and be able to leave my BEC at 6 volts. But I really like that servo. We already talked about the receiver. We already talked about the Bluetooth programmer. And we already talked about the gyro. This is what I really wanted to look at. This is the motor I went with. And I did buy these separate. I think you can get a combo, but I really just wanted this specific drift motor. This is a 10.5 turn D10 motor, and I got the red version here, and that's really cool looking. Check it out. It's got through holes here to solder. That's kind of interesting. Never really seen that. Really good feeling motor. It is a censored motor. You do kind of want to run a censored setup for a drift car, is what that I have kind of been researching. Hopefully this comes with a, if you don't buy the combo, but hopefully it still comes with a sensor wire. If not, we'll have to pick one of those up. But I really like the red. The quality here on this Hobby Wing D10 10.5 turn looks excellent. All right, going on to our ESC. I went with XR10 stock spec, and this is a little bit cheaper than buying the drift specific Hobby Wing setup. This ESC is cheaper, and from what I understand, stock has turbo and boost, which is something you want to be able to program on your drift car. Do not confuse this. They make a just stock, but I don't think it has turbo or boost. You want the stock. And this is the XR10 stock G2. Nice aluminum case ESC here. I'm going to pull this out. I'm hoping it comes with a sensor wire. If not, we'll answer that question. We may have to order one. The bullets are already attached here. And man, this footprint is really small. I feel like the wires weigh a lot more than the ESC. But here's where you'd be able to plug a fan or your programming Bluetooth programmer, or your programming box if you have one of those. Just a nice little button here, nice aluminum case. This is a really small footprint. I'm kind of impressed. So looks like the sensor wire goes back here. I might have a sensor wire laying around, so that's not a big deal. But I think if you buy the combo, it comes with a sensor wire. But since I opted to get this stock ESC with the D10 motor, it may not come with a sensor wire, but that seems really nice quality. I like the aluminum case. Let's look in here, and I do not see a sensor wire. I do see a fan, so it does come with a fan, it looks like. So that's kind of nice. But no sensor wire if you buy those two separate, just so you guys know. But looking forward to getting this build done and trying out some drifting for the first time. There might be a pretty significant learning curve, but looking forward to it. So stay tuned, and I want to do a video on, or a quick video at the end of this, on what you need to program your lights and siren that I'm going to be doing to this receiver. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching. This is the build update so far. Stay tuned for that programming video on that. All right, if you're still tuned in, you're probably wondering how I program some lights or siren to my NB4 Plus radio using one of their receivers. This is the FGR4D. The purple ones are waterproof, just so you guys know. And for this demonstration, I'm just going to be using this 6-volt nickel metal hydride pack, and it's just going to pretty much be your ESC, or what would be your ESC. So we're going to plug that into channel 2, and as you can see, the light is flashing, so it's looking for a signal. I'm going to put this down on the table, and I already have my radio turned on. Ideally, you want to go to model and select model. These are already in my In my radio, I'm going to pick 11. It was already on 11. That's pretty much an unassigned channel. And we're going to call this Drift. IFT. Just go ahead and name it. You can select the model name there. Now we're going to go back and we're going to go to RX set. And we're going to go to bind set and then hit start bind. And then as you can see, this is still flashing. If we hold this bind button down, the light went solid. The radio communicated that it was bound. So now our receiver is bound to our radio. The next piece of the puzzle that we need is you need to pick one of these up. I just got this off of Amazon. It's just an electric switch. These are pretty cheap. I want to say probably 10 bucks or less or roundabout. This is a used one I just pulled off of something else for this video. And we're going to plug it into channel 4 because that's what we want to use is channel 4. Go ahead and plug it in like so. So the switch is plugged in. Now, let's open our siren up here. Let's open our lights up here. And if you get a receiver with more channels, there's probably more you could do programming wise, but I'm just going to run my lights and my siren all off this electric switch here. So from channel 4 electric switch, I'm going to install this splitter here. And all that's doing is, you can get these off of Amazon as well. Anywhere on the internet, it's just a splitter. So now when we plug our lights in, make sure you got the right colors plugged in right. And then this one just has 2, so black to red. All right, so now our siren is set up. The reason I like this siren, it's pretty lightweight, so hopefully it won't add too much weight to my drift car. But now I have my siren, I have my lights. They're plugged into this splitter. The splitter is plugged into the electronic switch, and all that is plugged into what will be the ESC, but I'm just using this battery pack to demonstrate that. So now, channel 4. This is kind of already set to channel 4. As you can see, when I hit the button, let's turn our siren on. So as you can see, when I hit channel 4, that goes off. Now, you could leave it like this and you'll have to hold the button. Or you can come into your radio here and go to assign. And if you look right here, this says SW1. So we're going to look on our radio for SW1. It's right there. I'm going to click that. And it's in trigger mode. That means when I let go of the button, it turns off. We're going to switch that to just turn. Nope, let's see. Yep. So now it's more of a toggle. It says turn, but kind of like a toggle on and off. I hit the button. Now you don't have to hold the button down. So that's just kind of a little bit of programming there on channel 4. But as you can see, if you guys wanted to run lights, a sound system or something like that and be able to control it from your radio, that's a simple way to do it. And that is channel 4. I think you are able to assign all these other channels on the Noble MB4 Plus. It probably has way more settings and that kind of thing than I will ever use. But yeah, thanks for staying tuned this far. And if you like the content, if you're looking forward to seeing the finished build of this drift car, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and have a great day.